All right, good evening, everybody. It is 6 p.m. Today is May 16th, 2019. This is the Operations Committee of the Upper Dublin School District, and I'll call the meeting to order. We have no presentations tonight. Let's dive right in. Any announcements or communications?
None this evening.
Thank you. We have minutes from our April meeting. If anyone has any corrections, please get them to Brooke. And let's dive right into the reports and recommendations. First up, the SRMS roadway improvement bid.
Yes, it's informational. We're going out to bid. May 20th is the pre-bid date, and this is for the road improvements around Sandy Run. This is to widen Twining Road to allow for a left-hand turn lane to be added at the intersection and also a right-hand turn lane to get into our driveway. So the bids due out May 20th, and they will be received on June 11th, and we're looking to present those to the Operations Committee and the Board in our June meetings. This would be work that we would start over the summer.
Okay, thanks. Does this also include the changes to the island in the intersection and the light timing and all that?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It's all inclusive. Also, our construction entrances and the permanent what would be the emergency entrance onto the property.
All right, any questions, comments? Okay, thank you. Oh, Stan, sorry.
Is there going to be a handicap ramp also put in at this intersection?
Yes, anytime that they do this work, yes, they will bring anything that we touch that isn't quite up to the new standards will be converted to the new ADA standards.
Right?
The ramp is, yes.
There is one there?
There is one there. We also have them at our entrance, but it's midway up the block, but we will have them at the intersection of Twining Road.
So the one that's there now is going to be destroyed because of the lanes going to be put in there?
Correct.
All right, anybody else? Okay, moving on. So no action we need to take on that. It's informational. Let's move on to the electric repair at Field of Dreams.
Yes, we just wanted to make you aware we had an emergency electrical repair. It's actually supposed to occur tomorrow. The underground electric cable for the Field of Dreams building, the concession building, the restrooms, the underground service is fed from Fort Washington Elementary School. With the heavy rain that we've had, the conduits were filled with water and the cable failed underground. So Stanton Electric came in. We ran tests because we were afraid there was other damage to the transformer. Right now the transformer is testing that there is no damage to it, so we're confident that we'll be able to fire that back up. The cost to replace the underground cables is $13,600. A lot of that is just the price of the cable itself. It's 530 feet of cable between the manhole and the building that has to be repaired. For some reason, if we do have a failure on the transformer, again, everything tested so far, where they came in with special equipment to test this, everything tested correctly, it would be about $6,000 to replace the transformer, about $3,000 for the transformer itself, and another $3,000 for labor to rig it into the boiler room.
Okay, and this is also informational, right? There's no action we need to take? Okay. Yes. Any comments or questions, Stan?
Yeah, if we were to put that joint venture with the bus garage, if that were to come down, just say 3 or 4 years down the road, would we be destroying this electrical work?
No, this building and the building that we're doing in the area, we would not be in the same area. So the work we're doing now would not be touched in the future. The building would remain and the electric service would remain.
Did they say the life expectancy on this new cable, how long, how many years it would be?
I would hope it would be the lifetime of the building, but again, what happened was we think there was maybe a small nick in the cable, and just sitting underwater for so long with all the rain we've been having is where the failure occurred. Now we are doing a better grade of cable that will withstand, if it's the damp location, better than the one that was installed originally.
So they're just putting a cable in, not a conduit, and then a cable?
No, conduit's already in. We're going to remove the failed wire from the conduit and use the existing conduit to pull back in. It's with the 530 feet, it's pretty significant. He needs a team of about 5 people.
You said this was one of the original cables, so this is 20 years old or so? Or what do you think?
About 20 years old, okay. The date of the building. Yes.
Okay. And we're going with Stanton. Can you just, your rationale picking this company to go with?
They have done work for us in the past. They actually did the generator at Fort Washington. They also did the emergency service for Sandy Run Elementary when we lost the underground feed to Sandy Run Elementary last year. They were the ones that came in. They had the equipment, the manpower. We had the working relationship with them.
It was an emergency.
Yeah, and this was emergency. This also controls all the parking lot lights and the power that feeds up to the varsity softball field as well.
What is the location of the transformer?
It's in the boiler room at Fort Washington Elementary School.
Okay, so that's not affected by the humidity or water or whatever?
No, it's not. And that's how we noticed the underground cable had faulted is the transformer started to overheat and our electrician noticed the odor and started investigating.
Did they say,
Go ahead.
when we do approve this, did they say when they can start work?
It was a matter of getting the cable. They will be there tomorrow.
Get out.
Yes. Yeah, it's one of the reasons. Yeah. Yes, they've been very good with us for emergency repairs. When Sandy Run had failed, I had the owner's phone number. He gave me his home phone number, and I called him at 2:00 in the morning to tell them this was our problem, not Pico's, and so he could start on gathering his crew and materials for the next morning.
Did they say how long it's going to take?
It's a day's work.
Just a day? Great. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Administration accessory building update.
Yes, we met with Shirk Buildings, also met with the township, started on our permit process. We need to make some adjustments to the footprint of the building just to maintain within codes, so we don't have to do additional work for this building since it is an unheated, no utilities into this building. We didn't want to get into the sprinkler ordinance. So we downsized the building to a 30 by 30, which is still adequate for what our needs are. But also when we reduced the size, it reduced the cost of the building, so we were also able to add the concrete flooring that thought we wouldn't be able to do this year. So we are getting a slightly smaller building, but it's going to be a concrete floor and everything will be completely finished with one builder.
How big was the building scheduled for?
We looked at a 30 by 40. Originally we were going to be allowed to do 1,200 square feet without having the sprinklers. Now we have to do 1,000 feet. So we just reduced it to the round size, 30 by 30. Speaking with ACTS, Fort Washington Estates, they just went through the similar. They had planned a 30 by 40 building, and they reduced their footprint as well.
And would it be, I'm not advocating this without discussion, but would it be an option to reduce the size and still not do the concrete floor and take the savings? Or were we committed to a certain spend, and so we might
no, we're just committed to a better building. We would like to have done the concrete before, but we were trying to avoid getting into a situation where we'd be bidding prevailing wage and just specifications and having just the additional expenses that go with with the building, architect's fees.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Stan?
Are we going to have running water in there?
No. There was no water on this section of the property. That was just one of the reasons we wanted to avoid having to sprinkler the building. We would be digging a new water main either out to Fort Washington Avenue or out to Limekiln Pike.
Anyone else?
You going to have like a porta potty there or something?
No, this is strictly a cold storage building, no
No.
heat. This is strictly equipment and material storage. Yeah, we do have the restrooms in the administration building if anybody's there. They walk.
Okay, let's move on. The joint services agreement with School District of Springfield Township.
At the time that we posted the agenda, we didn't have a draft of the agreement. In fact, it came in today at 4:20. I spoke with the business administrator, so we should have it by Monday to include on Monday night. A couple of changes with the agreement. The cost has gone down to $30,000, as is indicated in the information there. We will be paying slightly more as far as an administrative fee, and that's just to gather the information to bill us primarily for the fuel that we use. And that's the biggest attraction about this is we're able to lock in at slightly over $2 for diesel for the year, and I believe $1.87 for gasoline is what the IU. And it's locked for the year, and with some of the things that are going on in the market, I think that it's well worth it for one more year to have a fixed price. So you'll see, again, a draft, and there will be the subject to within the motion, subject to the solicitor's approval. But this is like the 7th or 8th year, so I'm not thinking there'll be anything significant on that.
Comments or questions? No? Okay. So we'll look forward to seeing that on Monday night. Bid certification for the purchase of buses.
We didn't really necessarily need to include the specifications that we're looking at, but just wanted to let you know that Mr. Robbins is looking at the purchase of 5 buses, and currently our solicitor is is reviewing what we have sent. Excuse me. Once approved, we will advertise and open bids and review at the June 2019 Operations Committee meeting, and we hope to award these on June 24th. The buses are 3 77-passenger and then 2 30-passenger buses. They could be used for special education, but also for running small teams, some of our smaller teams to athletic events. My understanding is they will not be there will not be wheelchair lifts or harnesses on the 2 smaller buses.
And was 5 the plan number for this year?
Yes.
Yeah. And is the intention to pay for this out of capital?
Yes.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Joan?
Does this bring us so that we're now caught up from the time we didn't buy buses? Are we on a regular schedule now?
Well, we are on a new revised schedule, if you will, that runs out through 2023, and then we'll continue to rotate. At that point in time, it will be time to start replacing some others.
I guess part of what I was asking is, are we going to buy this number of buses? Would we need to every year going forward?
Let me see if I can pull up the bus replacement real quickly so I can...
I think it works out to 4 or 5 a year,
It
but that's
does.
from memory. While Ms. Bray is pulling that up, does anyone else have comments or questions on this item? No?
Just a second. It's thinking about it. So for 1920, he had actually hoped at first to be able to replace 2, 4, 6, 7 buses. And we've, in order to keep it around a purchase price of $500,000, we're not spending any more than that. Sometimes we've had to cut that down. The following year, in 2021, excuse me. Again, under an optimal situation so that we could catch up, we would probably be replacing about 7 on each year, 7 over the next 2 years. Then we would be able to drop down to 5, and then in 22, 23, again, it would be 5, and then 5 in 23, 24, 24, 25, once again would be 5. So... And we're not, this year we're only replacing 5 instead of 7. The information on the buses that I will have that or could have that on Monday night. In fact, I do have it tonight, excuse me. Just a moment. One of the buses that we're replacing is a 2004 International with over 208,000 miles on it. 2004 Bluebird. So, and actually one of the buses is a 1999 with 233,000 miles on it. So, all of the buses are older vintage except for the 2008. and this is earlier than expected. But we've been having a lot of constant engine problems, failures, and it warrants the earlier trade or demotion to, if we don't get the trade that we want, we may demote it to being a spare. Mr. Robbins unfortunately could not be with us tonight due to a family commitment. He will be speaking certainly at the time that we were asking for approval of the purchase.
Okay, thank you. Anything else on that one? All right, before we move on to community input, Dr. Yanni, we have some upcoming big milestones on Sandy Run. Can you remind us of what's coming up?
Sure, I'll remind everyone verbally, and then we will make sure that this is posted on our website. Our new Sandy Run Middle School project is already being advertised. Dewey Engineering's philosophy is to advertise early so that contractors are aware that the project will be bid soon. We have a mandatory pre-bid conference on June 18th. We have our bid opening on July 11th, and then we will review the bids for the project at July 25th at the Operations Committee, and then we will present the bids to the Board of School Directors on July 29th. And if all goes well, then the notice to proceed will be given to the contractors on August 27th for the project to commence.
Any comments or questions on that?
Is that a little bit later than I thought it was June before? And are we going back a little bit later now?
The June bids are for the road work. The one thing that may not take as long, once the bids are approved, I spoke with Arif, and the notice to proceed may come in, or we may be able to engage with that a little bit earlier than August 27th.
Anything else? Okay, it's time for community input. If anyone would like to come up? No? All right. Seeing none, we will close community input. Our next operations committee is Thursday, June 20th at 6 p.m. right here in the Cardinal Room. We will adjourn and take about 5 minutes to reset for the Finance Committee. Thanks.